One of only 8 drivers ever to lead here at Long Beach.
Introducing one of the most visually...
The Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Craftsman, a line of 1,600 hand tools made in America. Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. Add more life to your car.
We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach as we take a look at the running order. The field led from the green by Paul Tracy. The battle is between Unser Jr. and Fittipaldi, though for the moment it is broken off just a bit as they've had to cycle around the car of Claude Bourbonnais, who when they first came up on him really pitched it sideways, almost caught the wall, but kept it going. New driver to the Indy cars, Bourbonnais.
Exactly. Paul Tracy, a fellow Canadian, is driving a car that is brand new here. You will recall, if you saw the race at Phoenix last week, that he wrecked that car. Penske Racing has a bunch of new cars. This is one of them. They had problems with the brake and gear linkage on Friday, lost some practice time, but they came back really strong.
Fittipaldi runs in 3rd place, chasing Al Unser Jr. Jack Arute, you have an update.
Well, Paul Samposi alluded to the fact that there are 3 distinct sets of tactics in Team Penske. We may begin to see some of them unfolding for Emerson Fittipaldi. Their team is electing to look for a yellow as early as lap 15. They want to come in early and try and use attrition to work their way back to the front. They're hoping that there will be a full course yellow. History has shown that there generally is between laps 15 and 25.
I was going to say, Jack, and by the way, we have a car off and in a very precarious area. They may get it, Dominic Dobson, so they may actually get their wish. And we'll see if he's going to get restarted. But Jack Arute, if I can ask you further, was not that the anticipation of everybody up and down the pits that there would be a early yellow, in fact, perhaps earlier than this?
Well, most people felt because of the tight quarters of racing here, Paul, that there would be several full course yellows. But in the case of Roger Penske's crew, as you know, although we've alluded to the fact that sometimes he calls the shots, they are left to make their own decisions. And this was a decision they made after warm-ups this morning.
So now back to the front of the field. Paul Tracy, the number 3 car, still leads it, and it doesn't seem that they're going to go to full course yellow while Dominic Dobson sits in what appears to be a fairly precarious position.
Well, normally they're not. They'll just have a area, what we call an area yellow right there for Dominic. But on the Penske cars, Paul, the cars ironically are identical cars. The settings on them are almost to the degree exactly the same as one to the other, but the game plans for the race are up to the teams individual. They can do pit stop or game planning any way they want to as far as Penske is concerned.
Take a look as they get down toward the first corner at the back of Paul Tracy's car here. The fin, the shark fin. They first came out with that a week ago at Phoenix, and it's part of development that leads to an announcement this week that they made that they're going to be racing at Indianapolis with the Mercedes engine, a pushrod production-based engine.
Paul, this is really an earth-shattering announcement made jointly by Penske Racing and Mercedes-Benz. They're not going to race with the Mercedes next year at Indy. They're going to race this year. It's probably the best-kept secret in racing in the last 10 or 15 years, I would say. What it means, they're going to take advantage of what you might call a loophole or an incentive clause in the Indy rules, run a stock block engine, which rumors already have posted, they think, as much as 1,000 horsepower. They should have tremendous, at least a speed advantage. Reliability will of course be a question, but it's major racing news. Penske and Mercedes getting together.
And ironically, Sam, the reliability on the engine and the testing, they've run many tests so far at 500 miles and longer, 500 to 600 miles with the same engine without any failure. And believe it or not, they were running in all that snow back in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, shoveling snow all night long, starting to run at 8 o'clock in the morning. Don't you find it amazing that they kept that a secret, and they kept the fin a secret? I mean, the Penske group is really operating as marked men now. You wonder what else they might know about what's ahead. Competition's very severe today.
Something else to remember as we look forward to the Indy 500. Pushrod engine has completed 200 laps, the full 500 miles, only once in the last 25 years. So And we keep track of the leader, Paul Tracy. You can see he's pulled out ahead of second place Al Unser Jr., but Emerson Fittipaldi is staying in the fight.
World champion Shannon Miller defends her crown. The sport's best compete for the all-around title of the World Gymnastics Championships Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and there is a problem, as you can see. Down in the first corner, two cars together, one Paul Tracy with Mike Groff. Here's what happened. Chasing into the corner as Tracy was working through traffic. Got caught up behind the 19 car, Bobby.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Paul was committed to go the inside, as you can see right there. The 19 car, Robbie Buell, is braking too fast. Paul had more rear brakes than the front brakes, locked it up and spun it. He just was pressing too hard into the corner, in my opinion.
And he was lucky that Groff was alert and able to get on the brakes right there. Damage to the front of Groff's car, I don't see a lot on Tracy's car.
No, but he's obviously killed his engine. Leaves him in a terrible position. In effect, he's about the same as being out of the race no matter what happens.
This, of course, catapults Al Unser Jr. into the lead, a man who won this race 4 times in a row and had a 5th all lined up when he was tapped from behind by Danny Sullivan.
Now, one of the things that will happen, Sam, Paul, is Penske is going to tell little Al what Tracy did. Obviously, it was his fault. He just overdrove going into the turn a little bit. And little Al's going to be a little bit more careful himself, especially if Emmo doesn't come up and start pushing him too hard.
Well, little Al, of course, has been involved a couple of times in incidents here, too, and it just shows that at Long Beach, the racing is extremely close and things can go wrong, as Paul said at the top of the show, in a split second.
IndyCar safety team out there trying to get Paul Tracy going again, as well as Groff. Al Unser Jr. assumes the lead on the 22nd lap of the race. Still no full course yellows, so no reason yet for the teams to pull their cars down into the pits. We started this race with 8 rookies to Long Beach, so that kind of thing is very likely here. Drivers unfamiliar with the circuit at full racetrack.
And as people look ahead to the Indianapolis 500, that high number of rookies is a cause for great concern. Here where incidents happen like the ones we've seen so far, they happen at very low speeds. With these strong cars, everybody gets out of them safely most of the time. At Indy, things may be very different.
But Sam, even though the speeds here at Long Beach look kind of slow to people, 108 mile an hour average lap, they're actually running 190 miles an hour down the straightaways here at Long Beach. So people have to have the right perspective to speed. It's the slow turns, it's the hairpin that brings the average down so low here.
Well, I wouldn't want to be a nose ornament on one of these cars, I'll tell you.
Well, that's for sure, especially Paul Tracy a little while ago.
Al Unser Jr. definitely caught up in traffic now and taking care, I think, as he's coming through there. He's being cautious.
This is the first time that Al Jr. has really led a race substantially for Roger Penske since he joined the team this season. So this is a very proud moment.
And an important moment for him.
Yeah, psychologically, you always wait to make that mark with the new team, particularly when it's a team with a rich history of Penske. And, of course, this deal long in the coming and now reaching fruition.
You know, just like that hairpin turn right there where you saw little Al working up on that lap traffic, Sam. He doesn't want to go in there and touch a wing. That would just be disastrous at this point. Watch him right here going down the end of the front straightaway here, very fast speed. Very careful not to take any chances on passing right now.
16 cars still on the leader lap. Al Unser Jr. is trying to pass Adrian Fernandez in the 7 car just ahead of him. Fernandez currently runs in 16th place. So at the top of the order now with the change is Al Unser Jr., then Fittipaldi, then Nigel Mansell now 3rd. Robbie Gordon is 4th. Mario Andretti runs in 5th place, followed by Raul Boesel, Mauricio Gugelmin, Michael Andretti, Stefan Johansson. Marco Greco has moved up into the top 10 and runs 10th right now. Al Unser Jr. is leading this race for the 7th time in 11 years. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. At the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, the leaders now very carefully having to tiptoe their way through traffic. Emerson Fittipaldi trying to find a way, perhaps in between Adrian Fernandez and Arie Luyendyk, the 2 cars that just ahead. He's around Luyendyk now, trying to stay in contact with his teammate Al Unser Jr., who is the leader.
Little Al had problem getting around this thing.
Whoa, and Davy Jones is in trouble along with Mark Smith. Jones is going to try to get it going again, but remember, those walls are right there.
You know, the big secret to spinning out here, which does happen occasionally, is not to kill your engine. Davey didn't kill his, but it looks like now that he has. In other words, kept his engine running. Here's a replay of it coming down.
All right, the two cars were battling for 19th place. Jones just got into the side of Mark Smith as they came in the corner. Nigel ducked by on the inside.
Nigel was the lucky one. Davey locked up his brakes. When you lock up your brakes and you can't let them off real quick, you have, in effect, no steering. He ran right into the side of Mark Smith. The problem would have been Davey Jones. He's the guy that caused that one.
He has been having a very unhappy year in that A.J. Foyt car. Crash at Surfers Paradise, trouble last week. I talked to him about an hour before the race. His morale is low, and this isn't going to help any.
Sometimes teams just don't click, and these two guys are not clicking. I've been down the turn, Sam, watching Davey. Sometimes he looks good, sometimes he looks terrible. So he's not working with the mechanics properly. Somewhere or another, the whole team is just not working together.
And Mark Smith, of course, a very promising young driver from the Northwest. He's had his problems too. Didn't even qualify for last week. He rode it out in the hospital.
Now it would appear that Davey Jones, he got out there, had first gear, but no reverse. Now remember, these cars on a road circuit are supposed to have reverses. Maybe his is not working, but he was able to take off without getting a push start there.
He has a reverse gear, he told me he did. Nigel Mansell, of course, has moved into third now as we ride with him.
Here's what happened. Boy, look at Nigel. He almost totally lost it. Lock to lock. Whoa!
That was close. But look at the reflexes by Nigel Mansell. I mean, he really owes the fact that he's still in the race to the fact that he saw what was coming and had those incredible reflexes along with good judgment.
All right, Jack Arute, pit side. Update on Paul Tracy.
Well, you guys were talking about the fact that there's a problem if you don't keep the car going. Well, that was the case with Paul Tracy. He had to get the car restarted, lost the valuable time. The only thing that he had wrong with the car when they came in is he had actually tore up the tire on the right rear. They replaced that tire, and now he's back, but he's way off the lead pace.
Jack, unfortunately, I don't know what his morale was, but Tracy has yet to outgrow the sense that he's a mistake maker, and he made another one today, a small one, but so costly.
Sam, he's down. Tracy's down 6 laps. That's more than you can overcome, even with the good Lord helping you there.
Watching the battle for 9th place. 9th is the 25 car of Marco Greco. He has right behind him Teo Fabi, and Scott Goodyear is there well. Jack Arute?
Well, there's several great stories, though, Paul, about Paul Tracy. You remember, it was only 3 years ago that he tried to run a Dale Coyne car here. His father and he saved up their money from their construction business, and they came here, and they only made a couple of laps. He left dejectedly and thought he was going to have to go into the construction business. That's when Roger Penske sent word that he should come over and meet with him. They signed later that year a testing contract. And then Paul Tracy, 1 year later, comes back and wins here at Long Beach. So he's had more than his share of ups and downs here on Oceanside Drive.
Well, for a moment, Marco Greco was able to pull away from Teo, and Teo is locked in this tremendous battle with Scott Goodyear and Jacques Villeneuve just behind him. A three-way battle for 10th place. Occasionally, they catch up tonight.
Well, we've got to watch that a little bit. Now, those guys are weaving back and forth, almost having a lot of contact. Nobody is driving any harder than those three for a while there, Paul.
Well, Marco Greco is driving, you might say, a little bit over his head in terms of the record that he has. His best finish ever in IndyCar competition is 11th. So he's really, and you can see a couple of times Fabi in the yellow car there trying to get by him, Greco cutting him off. I think Greco's doing a beautiful job, but whether he can sustain it or not is the question.
I saw Marco in the paddock area last night into the day. Most everyone else was gone. And Marco was just so pleased with his qualifying effort. He says he finally really has a car and a team that he thinks can do something, and he seems to be proving it here. So at the front of the field, it's Al Unser Jr. Little Al started second and took the win. The winner started second the last 3 years here at Long Beach. He leads it now. We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. These aerial shots are courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Eagle, based in Carson, California, just up the freeway. Today's pilot is Joel Chamberlain from Norwood, Massachusetts. There she is overhead. Cameras on board. There's some pretty good coverage. Well, Al Unser Jr. had to fight his way through that battle that we were covering for 10th place. He's now completed his 35th lap of 105, but it was touch and go for a moment. Those guys fighting for